So this is a community meeting for Dawn Mountain. And, we are here to serve our diverse community with assistance in areas of spiritual living and wisdom traditions of the world, and in particular, bringing forward helpful information from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition to assist people in their lives, and in also deepening their spiritual understanding. And in thinking about what we were all about this morning, what came to me is that we are about growing well, living well, and dying well. And before I go to that, I'm recalling that Anne suggested that we say a little bit about ourselves personally, which most of you who know us know that we're a little bit shy in a certain way. Proud in others, but shy in certain ways. But what is it that animates us? And I was thinking about it, and I've been doing this for about 51 years, and what one says about what animates you in your spiritual journey after 51 years is not going to sound like what somebody who's just cracked their first 5 books is going to sound like. For me, my spiritual life is, it's a little bit hard to describe, but it's something akin to going home, but to going home to some place that is very, very mysterious, very compelling, very silent, and very renewing. And at the same time, there is a deepening process of orientation towards sensitivity to myself and sensitivity to others. And it is a process that keeps renewing itself. So after 51 years, I still have quite a head of steam to be involved, to practice, to, and not only for myself, but to share this whole process with other people. And so, yes, we are oriented towards growing well and living well and dying well. And that starts with our children's programs that Simone is offering. We now have sort of a segment for the younger children, and now for the older children. We had our first process of working with the teen in what we are calling our Gateway program, which for individual teens we're wanting to sit with them and talk about what it's like to really think about matters spiritual. And then our generic programs that Anne will, and large programs that Anne will talk a little bit more about. And then Dying Well, for example, this semester our Tuesday classes are all about the issues, the spiritual issues related to dying. And so we welcome you. We're going to have, very shortly, Mary Scott's going to do a large presentation about where we've been and where we're going. But we're very, very thrilled for you all to be here, and I'll hand the baton over to Anne.
Yes, we are. Thank you all for coming. What animates me is 2 things. One, in a way, something that comes, in a sense, from outside, and another that comes from inside. We have had, since we met in the University of Wisconsin in the graduate program there in Buddhist Studies, where we began, well, really, Harvey was beginning to study Tibetan. I didn't really study Tibetan seriously. Well, I guess I started then. Anyway, I met my first Tibetan teacher there, Kensang Allen Laketon, and the teachers that I've studied with, both of us have studied with quite a number of teachers from the Tibetan tradition, some outside the Tibetan tradition as well, Goenka and the Theravada tradition, were just so wonderful. They were just so wonderful. They were so inspiring and loving and kind, and I just wanted to hang around them. And, they were also, really a teacher's job in a way, is to mirror to students what's possible for them. Because you think, oh, I could never be like that. And we may never be like that, actually, really, like our teachers. That seems quite a long shot, but nonetheless, they project some, but I could grow, I could become a little less ditzy, I could become a little less totally self-absorbed and self-obsessed and worried about just my little corner of the universe, which is kind of how we all are, especially when we're young, I think, and maybe have to be for a while. So they are and continue to be our teachers who are still alive, that we're still in touch with. Some of you have met or seen on video, and we hope we'll meet. They're just tremendously ongoingly inspiring. And it's amazing to walk through life with a path that deepens you, that changes your perspective in ways that you couldn't have imagined. And it doesn't happen fast. And we're here for the long haul, is what we're saying. People come and say, oh, I didn't want to come to Dawn Mountain because I didn't feel good. I was bummed out today. I was depressed. I lost my job. I broke up with my boyfriend. No, this is exactly when you come. You don't have to dress up in your party clothes emotionally to come. This is where we're a spiritual community, and we understand that we're all wounded. And spiritual life acknowledges that. We are here to heal and grow and help each other. And so the variety of programs and students and community Sangha that we have here is quite a wide range, and we're very happy about that. So some people, maybe some of you, are kind of dipping toes in for the very first time, or at least early on, maybe in your first year or two or so of kind of exploring a spiritual life. And we are offering what we call life skills. It turns out that the bases of the spiritual path are the same things you need in life. You need to be a little calm. You need to be a little clear. You need to be able to focus. You need to be able to dance with other people, even when they don't dance exactly the same way that you do, or even listen to the same music. We need flexibility in our lives, and that can be a challenge. So we offer those skills. We feel that the Sunday practice is a very important portal and practice for people to take home and develop. We encourage everyone to kind of the first stage is to have a daily practice, even if it's 10 minutes, a daily practice where you sit, you let your thoughts stop a little bit, or at least when they come, you don't gallop off away with them, and that changes your possibility of your inner world. Our Teaching Tuesdays go more deeply into various topics. This particular sequence, as Harvey has mentioned, is really about living within a full-hearted acknowledgement that we are mortal and our time is limited and we don't know how long we have. So we are well advised to consider what's most important in our lives and to organize our lives so that we have time for it. We also have retreats. This spring, there's really a 10-day span of retreat, a very traditional Tibetan practice called the Calm Fierce Deities Shito practice. We had a day-long preparation for that on January 31st, so people could prepare and know some part of the practice that will be part of that. Every spring and fall we have some weekend retreat, either whole weekend or Saturday, and we have them, there's always a retreat opportunity for people who are relatively new on the path. And then we have had the enormous good fortune that we still exclaim over sometimes at night to each other of, having had a lot of deep training from extraordinary teachers, really extraordinary beings. nearly all of whom completed their training in traditional Tibet, or who now, like Adzum Rinpoche, is still in a small corner of what is really still traditional Tibet. And that is a centuries long developed, soaked in human wisdom course of training, which we offer here. If you feel like you want to explore the depths of the Tibetan tradition, our teachers have empowered and encouraged us to help you with that. It's a wonderful path, and you can take as long as you like. And we have some idea that over a 5 or 7 year period, actually it will be possible to receive pretty much all of the practices that you would receive in a traditional 3-year retreat, which is a kind of a traditional training ground in Tibet. So in a way that interfaces, of course, most of us work, we have families, we're not going to do a 3-year isolated retreat, but it is possible, and other teachers also, Dzongtsar Khyentse in particular, are offering now modes of modern retreating. So, you do daily practice, you do weekends. Sometimes when you have time, you do some weeks. Maybe you can take a month, 3 months, sometime, in your life and do that. So that's the scope of what we're offering. There is the practices called the foundational practices, which are the ground for really furthering most, particularly in a Tibetan inflection, the qualities of compassion, attention, awareness that the world is really not what it seems. That's the big one. It's really much more like an illusion and a dream than we can possibly imagine. So these are deep shifts, that we're offering training toward. And so for that, patience is necessary, love is necessary, kindness is necessary, and support from each other is actually essential. So this is the kind of community that we are happy to be fostering. And there will be time for you to have questions and feedback, and we want to hear from you, I think, after Mary Scott. You want to come in now? Yeah.
Okay. It's always so inspiring to hear Ann and Harvey. I like to go first, so I don't have to follow them. I feel like I'm bringing the slightly more mundane, everyday.
It's all part of the whole, honey.
That's right. That's good. But we wanted to take an opportunity to share a little bit about the nuts and bolts of Dawn Mountain, because you all are, to use a real everyday word, our primary stakeholders. You are the ones for whom we are here, and without you, we would not be here. So we are very, very grateful for your support, for your participation, for your attendance. And just, you may have noticed we moved. And somebody is here for the first time in our new location, but we've been here since the summer, and things are still making loud noises in the middle of Sunday meditation. But this facility has enabled us to do amazing things, have children's programs that don't involve people running in front of the teachers to go to the bathroom.
And like that.
Last weekend we actually had some people spending the night here for a couple nights in a row, and that was something that Hannah's dreamed of for a long time, and it worked out very, very well. So that's delightful for us. And the other thing I'm waiting for you to turn on my PowerPoint.
We're ready.
Oh, great. I can just keep on ad-libbing. But so many of you have helped us get to this point, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute.
Stay back here,
Don't go forward. Okay, stay back here. There's my mark. Thank you. And in case you have never heard the Dawn Mountain mission statement, our mission is to nurture the spiritual growth of our diverse community as a living bridge between traditional Tibetan Buddhist teachings and curious people everywhere. It's a big, big mission. and requires, it's kind of like the bridge is a staircase, and we have a lot of people on the bottom step, and then we have a few more and a few more and a few more, or a funnel. Sometimes I talk about depending on whether you want to ascend or descend. But we strive to inspire all seekers to develop skills for living, as Ann and Harvey have said, including mindfulness and compassion, the two big tenets of our practice, to instruct new and advanced students in the contemplative, artistic, and healing practices of Tibetan Buddhism in collaboration with Western and Asian teachers. Not everybody wants a PhD, but that's about, we could do 100,000 PhDs and not get it all in. It's a big. And to support living Buddhist culture in Asia, which is another piece of Dawn Mountain that I'm not even going to really talk about. But we could talk about that at the end if you like. So thanks for next.
Other click.
Other click. Awesome. And I want to thank Evan Kornacki, who took some fabulous photos and allowed me to use them for this. So we had, in 2014, for the first time, we broke up our children's program, as Harvey said, into young kids and slightly older kids. And we had a lot of happy feet running up and down these hallways. As you've heard, we had teens, and we had our first ever Gateway celebration for Dante. We're looking for the next candidate, so if you know a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, bring them over. You may remember that around a year ago today, we were all at the Rothko Chapel. It was chilly and smoky, and there were lots of people from the Zen Center and Lig Mincha Institute and Rothko community. We celebrated Losar together. Some of you were here when we had our little community dialogue with the Cloudgate Dance Theater of Taiwan, which was really a beautiful moment of interacting with, I can't remember her name, but it was really fun. We look forward to reaching out once more to the artistic community and finding connections there. Here we are on the march to Naomi, and taking down some walls that used to be here. And Anne's lovely friend Bethany, who got us into the color situation, which is beautiful. You've heard the words meditation station if you've been around, but we received a grant in the summer to build what we think is the first ever portable contemplative environment, and it is currently under construction at the Houston Makerspace TXRX Labs and shall be ready very, very soon. We're part of the budget funding, the grant budget funds a coordinator, and Claire has graciously taken that role. So we're setting up website and Twitter account and buying tablets from which people will be able to listen to the audio meditations. So look for hearing much more about that soon. And then we'll have a big volunteer opportunity for people who would like to go out and escort the meditation station around the world. What? It's on, part of it's on wheels, so maybe.
Bring your dogs.
That's right. Dog sledding.
Your cows, yeah.
Many of you were with us at the Rothko for our collaborative event there, featuring Bob Thurman and Sharon Salzberg, and that was really a wonderful day. So thanks for everybody who supported that, and we hope to do more like that in the future. We learned a lot of lessons that I'm really eager to do another one, so we can get some things right. And then we had in the fall, we had a wealth of teachings from Tibetans, including the annual visit from Lama Tenzin Sampo and Adzam Gyaltse Tuku Jigme, and who knew Lama Tenzin loves babies. That's so cool. And then we had this wonderful, wonderful benefit provided by Joseph Helfenstein, who guided 2 special tours through his Experiments with Truth show at the Menil Museum. And that was actually, it was great for our bottom line. I think we netted about $4,400 all in for both days. And that was just a lovely community building experience. We have so many people to thank, and this is just a few. Our broadcasters, our board members, some of our other real stalwarts, thanks to everybody who has helped. And just so you know, here are a few things that people have done. Broadcast. served in the welcome circle as greeters on Sundays and Tuesdays, brought flowers and arranged them, stewarded our digital archives. This is an ongoing, huge project. Too bad we can't get a PhD for it.
Maybe we could.
Led Sunday morning meditations, cleaned the temple, and this is not a trivial task. Helped sort, pack, and move us to Naomi. Demolition, raise your hand. Yeah.
Thank you.
We have a volunteer architect. He's not here today, but Mark Hall deserves huge, huge thanks for everything he's doing for us. And a few more things. We've had some help with our Google AdWords free account, which we get as a part of a nonprofit grant from Google, which is wonderful, but we haven't been able to really get our hands around it, so we have some great people helping us with that. We've had fantastic retail assistants. People wash tablecloths on a regular basis. Thank you so much. Photography, made things, Simone, for us to sell in the store. Thank you so much. Painted, set up the flagpoles. Flags are coming. Cataloged auction items, bought things we need and shown up here with snacks and cleaning supplies just on a whim or on a regular basis. Set up for special events, cleaned up, and generally showed up to pitch in wherever needed. This amount of work, I made a very, very rough estimate, and I calculated, here are a few more demolition stars, that there were 2,056 volunteer hours. That estimate is probably low. I'm here to tell you it's probably low. But I could,
Since when?
since the beginning of 2014, so 1 year. But I could document easily 2,056 hours. So even if we only paid those people $20 an hour, that is a net $40,000 contribution to the Dawn Mountain bottom line. We couldn't get any of that done, and we know we don't have $40,000 to hire somebody to do it. So I really just want to express my heartfelt gratitude for all of this work, real work that you all do for us. It's huge, and for each other and for Dawn Mountain. So here are some basic numbers that you might or might not be familiar with or curious about. In 2014, our earned revenue was about $38,700. That's program revenue, so teachings, things that we did, including the Rothko event, people who pay us in exchange for participating, generally. Contributed revenue is a much bigger number, 115.4, and that's our lifeblood. Of course, we're a Buddhist temple, and so we survive on donations. I don't know how to get rid of that. Okay, maybe it'll go away. So for a total revenue number of about $154,000 against expenses of about $186,000. And because Dawn Mountain is a little bit of a complicated financial entity in that we have a temple and we have a nonprofit and we have that number is approximate, but it's nonetheless a $30,000 shortfall. And we have, if you've noticed, our ambitions are not shrinking. So we are figuring out ways to earn more money and inspire people to contribute more money in 2015. The first thing that you all may be aware of is that we're having a big Gala Fundraiser, our first ever fundraising special event with capital E, which will be the gala to celebrate Harvey's 70th birthday on Saturday, March 28th at the McGovern Centennial Gardens in Herman Park. It is a spectacular venue. It's going to be a spectacular evening. And if I were still working in nonprofit arts in Houston, the tickets would be $500 a piece. So the fact that they're only $150, it's a big bargain. We've recently figured out that the caterer for the event will be Tony's. So it's going to be pretty special. And I hope you will all come. So that's part one of the approach. But the other big effort is to get more people in the door. Because by having more people come and figure out what we do and value it, that is how our support will will grow. And you all can be helpful. You all need to bring friends. You need to become ambassadors for this organization. When the meditation station is going out, that will be helpful too, because people will begin to realize that there is a Dawn Mountain and that they can come and meditate and share in this amazing community, do all the things that we are doing together. We have this Google AdWords. We're going to get our hands around it. We're going to get our name out there in a variety of ways, but I really do ask for your help in this effort and know that that is what we are trying to do. Our lifeblood is truly membership. When you are a member, you get the teachings for free. So it's a win-win. And if you're not a member, then let's fix that. More things that we got in 2014. We have a new website. We've had some great positive feedback on our monthly newsletter. We're really working to communicate with you in ways that you respond to and that are easy for you. I'm talking on a really fancy microphone right now. It's awesome. Y'all should all try it. We have lots of people liking us on Facebook. I think we've easily doubled in the past year the number of people who like our page. And if you haven't, please do. Please do. We're on Twitter. We're not tweeting much, but we're gonna get better at it. If anybody wants to tweet on behalf of Dawn Mountain, let's talk. Our store looks good, and we have good things in it, and people are buying them. We have name tags on the wall, which helps people to learn each other's names. And my thought is that, and I was going to have Evan take everybody's portrait today, but he couldn't come, and I left my camera at home. But we're going to have your name tag's going to feature your picture, so when you're not here, we can study up. Oh yeah, that's what that guy's name is. Okay, so that's the plan. And back in August, we had a volunteer fair and open house, and that was a well-attended event and resulted in some new volunteers with great energy. And this is our first ever Sangha meeting. We don't have to have this again until next year. So coming, as I've said, we're going to follow the lead of our esteemed and marvelous teachers into deepening practice for everybody who wants to, and deepening our connections to each other as a group. We're going to keep up the emphasis on kids and families. We have a group of 11 moms who've been meeting here. It's been a command performance on Simone's part. They said, we want to do it Sundays at 12:30. And it's been great, and we hope that will continue to happen. We're going to reach out to the Texas Medical Center. We've begun to put out feelers, and we're talking about some potential meditation residencies, like going into one institution for a week every morning at 6:30 and inviting people to sit with us, and then inviting them to come and follow up here. That's just one example. Meditation Station has lots of potential homes in the medical center, so we want to take it over there. We have a silent auction and live auction as part of the gala in March. We will also have later this spring an online auction, which should be a very interesting venture for us, and we have some amazing items. So if you're listening abroad in the land,
Including
look for that soon.
Including specially sent by Adzam Rinpoche and blessed by him and Jetsun Ma.
Yes. We're sitting here in these
Some of them are
presence of
here,
these
yeah.
beautiful things. And we'll have more opportunities for you to volunteer. So how you can help, I've talked about. Please come to the gala. Maybe you'll win tickets today. Bring a friend, take some flyers, talk to your neighbors. When your neighbors say, "Are you going to church?" Yeah, come on. I found my church home. Come with me. It's Dawn Mountain. Don't forget, when you are ordering from Amazon, to go to smile.amazon.com. And believe it or not, that can actually be a fairly significant lump sum at the end of the year. I think we ended up with around $600 as a result of Amazon Smile in 2014.
Well, mostly Harvey
Exactly.
and Renee.
Help us with social media, and then, perhaps most importantly, in taking us back to our roots, if you all remember the Rinpoche Speaks video that we showed when you all got back, he said, do a lot of practice. Practice hard. May it be so. All right. Thank you very much. And now it's time for Q&A.
Which is to say, we'd love to hear what you feel, think in response. And may I say, we have been very blessed since Mary Scott has come on, now almost a year and a half?
Yeah.
First time ED. And Jerry, you have known for years as absolute backbone, membership recruiter, retail organizer, all around, really holding so many things. So
Jerry is our
very-
stealth fundraiser.
Yeah.
If any of you have been blessed by her approach, you know how like butter she is.
So we feel very fortunate. It's not easy to find people to work in positions like this, and we did, and they are. So, and all of you. Yeah, John.
Do you have any endowment funds that contribute to the existing budget?
No.
Is there a reason for that, or
We're open to it.
Um,
Do you want the microphone? Yeah. Go ahead. If you have ideas, we would definitely like to hear them.
I don't. I just didn't know if there was some reason
Yeah.
the organization took a position where we didn't solicit those from some of the large organizations like the Houston Endowment or
Oh, you mean grants? Like,
not maybe they are grants, but a lot of these nonprofit organizations in Houston need to distribute funds. And I don't know what the criteria are regarding spiritual or religious kind of contributions. That may be the thing that makes it difficult. But
It's a little bit difficult when you are actually, yeah, it's a little bit difficult when there's a spiritual orientation.
We do have it in mind very much, and perhaps as our community side grows, maybe there'll be a possibility. We did get a small grant, as Mary Scott said, from the Lens Foundation, which is specifically oriented to Buddhist groups.
And we
We've-
also have a grant from the Hershey Foundation.
Yes,
to
for a
do-
translation project as part of our research institute, which
So-
we didn't mention.
We do apply when it looks like there's a good fit. Part of it is, I mean, it's a time risk benefit analysis. Any grant could take up to 40 hours or 80 hours to write. And if any of you see any of us working, none of us has 40 or 80 hours to spare. And most of the grants that we would be talking about, if you're talking about like an endowment or whatever, we're not, where we've applied like Hershey or Lens, we've actually succeeded. But if it's a large place with a limited possibility, we haven't elected to, it's just, you got to choose where you're going to try to do things.
That said, if any of you know of, have connections to grants or family foundations that you think might be interested in supporting our work, please talk to us. Talk to
Yeah.
us, talk to everyone. We would definitely like to have such support. And it may be out there. We haven't quite found it yet. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for being interested in that.
any other thoughts, suggestions? general
Anything else?
feedback?
Yeah, Steve. Would you take a microphone?
So I thought the Gateway program was really sweet.
Oh, yeah.
And I really enjoyed happening on that. I didn't know it was happening the morning I was here. And I think it was really cool, and I love you all for doing that. But I encourage you to come up with a cooler name for it.
Suggestions? Dragon Leap?
You're getting there. But surely there's a Tibetan word that properly describes that might be a more cool way of describing it.
Okay. I'll think about
Excellent
that.
suggestion. Thank you.
Empowerment for adulthood?
I could use that.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Jennifer, just a second.
Thank you. This this may be like a long shot. I was actually planning to talk with somebody privately, not in a large group, about this, but since we're here and there might be someone in this room who would be interested. I belong to a writing community in Houston, and I actually volunteered to bring in a speaker for April. That person kind of fell through because he's moving and there's different things going on, but we were looking for someone to speak specifically about writing, about creativity in writing, and something that would be of interest to writers. Maybe there's someone in this room who, I don't know, either associated with Dawn Mountain or not. And it would be one way of kind of an outreach, to another community who could certainly have an interest in meditation and, what's offered here. Something to think about.
Sure, thank you.
For April, and it would be
We are interested, as Mary Scott said, in the arts and the relationship. There is a profound relationship between creativity, meditation, the ability to, go to a space where something new can arise in you. Great.
Right after I started, I was invited to speak at one women's breakfast club and then one Rotary club. And I used to do that all the time in other jobs I've had, and I love to do that. And so if you are members of any such organizations and are looking for speakers, we can do that. And we can talk about the writing group. And there are some other people around that might be able to. That would be great. Yeah, absolutely. And likewise, if you are willing to go out and talk about Dawn Mountain, we get requests quite often, mostly from schools or groups that are targeting youth. Interfaith Ministries has an ongoing program, and Claire has represented as Buddhist About Town a few times. But and Paula went and spoke to a group of Boy Scouts up in Kingwood. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
we can handle that. And Jason's going to speak to some high school students. Yeah, that's going to be really fun.
Anything else? Yes.
Go ahead.
Get the microphone.
Comment as well. Along the same lines, like corporate organizations are also like, I'm just thinking about the company that I work for. A lot of emphasis on health, on work-life balance.
Yes.
And perhaps like not talking, maybe Tibetan Buddhism is may not be the topic, but meditation definitely, and how it applies to better work. Claire always talked about
a lot of interest
in her class about mindfulness being the buzzword around these days, and
Right.
I think my organization would benefit a lot, and I can see other organizations as well. So I'll look into how we can bring speakers to my organization. And also, I'm really excited about the pop-up meditation centers. I've talked to a couple of friends and acquaintances about meditation, and I think people sometimes get scared, and they don't think that it's for them. It's not like, I don't sit. Like my mind doesn't relax. That's not for me. Like my mind talks, and that's for me, and that's okay. So I think meditation pop-up centers will be like a good gateway to a lot of people who are scared of meditation.
Cool.
So I'm excited by that.
That's great. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So are we.
Thank you. Yeah, Claire.
I guess this is more like my own longer term aspiration that I just figured I would share because we're sharing such things. I over Facebook, I'm connected with a bunch of people from, high school and just all sorts of people who maybe live in this area or are scattered throughout Texas, and it's really exciting to me to have the opportunity to reach out to more communities online. And it just seems like
People, no, I mean, they can click on right now. We don't have
That's
to
right.
wait 5 years for that. But you think they need a personal kind of, yeah, that's great.
Well, they need us to go out there and get them started, and then they can get together and tune in
Yeah,
and
maybe so, yeah.
get the community going.
David and then John again.
Just kind of along the lines of what you're saying, endowment is probably is already implied or understood, but I know a similar organization that has an endowment specifically set up to live off the interest. So I know that might divert what you're trying to, just to stay afloat and cover operating costs. But I don't know if there's a way to set up something that's kind of alongside, like people. I know that organization, it kind of along the lines of what you're saying, and people in their wills and so forth leave specific instructions like, hey, when I go, a certain amount goes to this endowment. That's whose sole purpose is to, live off the interest of that.
I would
body.
like to talk to you about Dawn Mountain's planned giving program.
And then the other thing, and this is probably being talked about or in the works for the pop-up tent, but kind of along the lines of what you were saying, targeting certain areas. I don't know of many acupuncture places or other health kind of oriented places in Houston, because it's Houston. I'm sure there's a lot, but I just don't know of many. But I would think some of those areas where people are interested in holistic, medicine, and and then what's this other thing that kind of integrates with just a random thought.
I'm in Texas Yoga Conference, which is going on this weekend. Next year, we will be there with the meditation station. It'd be great.
Thank you.
And just a big-
thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. That's very much in line with our hope. I mean, maybe it's implicit, but we haven't said we really mean for Dawn Mountain to last. We won't last. But we do want to leave it with enough wherewithal in the terms of you, in terms of practitioners who can hold practices, right? And also maintain connections with visiting teachers. And once we can get ultimately, in some period of time, we hope that we will own a place, and then really we'd like to leave it with an endowment, definitely. So thank you for bringing forward that, which is sort of not right within our reach right now, but definitely very important, and definitely in our mind.
And that effort is not, there is a small building fund that is set aside that does not, we don't touch it for annual operating, and we never will. So that effort is not, it has begun.
Yeah.
Just big thanks and gratitude on top of that, just in general, for everything that you guys and everyone here does. So just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Especially in Houston, but just in general. I just really
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. John.
I'd like to reinforce the positive impressions at all. Sorry. I'd like to reinforce all the great things he said about Dawn Mountain. I've been peripherally associated with this organization for a long time, and
Yeah, you have.
apparently I'm woefully ignorant of all the stuff you do and who all does it. My general sense, though, is we don't necessarily have the bodies. We don't necessarily have the people to do much outreach. And so these are great ideas to do outreach. Man, he was talking a second ago about sort of, how this could reach out to a corporate organization, and I was thinking, geez, trainers, Dawn Mountain Trainer Organization, and the point is we don't have kind of the staff resources to even remotely consider something like that. It seems like the asset we have is all the warmth and wonderfulness, and fortunately, a lot of this stuff is being recorded now.
Yes.
So I am once again woefully ignorant of all the resources you had, but I know about 8 years ago I went through a lot of the material in Dawn Mountain that was already on cassettes, and I guess this stuff came from previous studies and stuff. And I'm just wondering, is there any way to create some sort of portal? Because we don't have any sort of mechanism now where someone can sort of step up and say, hey, by the way, here's $1.50. Let me have the presentation associated with. Is that in place already? If I am, I apologize.
That conversation, I mean, it's interesting, having been involved from the get-go, we have had tens and dozens of hours of conversations to prepare for what you're talking about, and it's actually quite far along. And there will be a point in the not too distant future where we will be recruiting volunteers to listen to everything that we have to create. It's actually a huge database operation that you're talking about, and we have actually spent a lot of time already envisioning it. It will not be for $1.50, I'm sorry, but
Per lesson, not for
not
for
$1.50 per lesson even, I don't think, although
Well, some of it's free.
some of it's already
on
free.
YouTube.
There's actually quite a lot already up on YouTube, which you may or may not be aware of, which is absolutely free.
Right.
And but it's a very, very exciting project. What are we calling it now?
Curriculum.
The curriculum
Project.
project. And it's got a lot of layers to it, but we've got Bethany Queen, who was here, who did all of this single-handedly, pretty much. Or
Not
she had some
quite.
assistants. Robert helped her.
Gary and Robert.
Gary and Robert helped, but Gary and Robert will be working with her to really set that up, and then we'll need a lot of volunteers. And yeah, so we have thought about that, and that is in movement.
And I agree with you, we all agree, it's extremely important. And while the big project is a big project, as Harvey said, we, I think, are rather close to I think we already have certain clusters of things, like, a sequence on love and compassion, for example. I think on meditation, on the foundational practices, which really are the starting point going into the Tibetan tradition itself. So we have some things, and I think if we wanted to think about, we want to have that, and we want to identify those which might be suitable, for example, for a business situation of some kind. We have wondered, we're not quite there yet, we're still remodeling, as you know. We getting that room fixed up and this room completed, but we have thought, and we have a pretty full calendar upcoming, but at some point we wonder if there would be a possibility of having like a Saturday for business people, maybe if people would come here, maybe not to the temple, but to the community space, which is why we have a community space, so that people who aren't interested in, or maybe nervous about, or, they don't want to come into a Buddhist temple necessarily, but they do want to learn something of what we teach. And so we're hoping that room will be a good environment. And as time permits, maybe people would come here, think about people going there. It's kind of a big thing to think about, but thank you for expressing interest, and we'll probably call on you for help when we go forward with that.
Please do.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
Gary.
I have a question. Want me to go for Gary?
Yes, you've got the...
A number of people have expressed interest to me, of course I'm always interested in this, in having a retreat somewhere else, to where it's over a weekend.
A residential retreat.
Yeah, but not
Mhm.
necessarily here.
Mhm.
Could be here. We get better organized and have volunteers to help do it. Or, Margaret Austin, or there's another Buddhist retreat center up in Magnolia that's very nice, and someplace like that. And I guess at least 3 people have mentioned to me, when are we going to do that? And I
I see.
mentioned it to Mary
I
Scott.
see. Okay.
So just putting that out into the
I'm glad to know there's energy for a retreat and longer retreat. And there's always a cost. For some people it's difficult financially and so on, and so we lose people, but it's nice to be away. I forgot to mention that we have, alternating with our teaching Tuesdays, we have practice Tuesdays, every other Tuesday. And these are peer-led. Senior students are leading them, and we thank you for doing that leading, those of you who are doing that. So that's another opportunity for practice. There are also peer-led retreats here, particularly for people who are doing the foundational practices, and people get together, and it's informal, and it's group-led, and also there's a schedule that Harvey and I look over. So there are opportunities that I just want you to be aware of for practicing together here. Thank you for bringing that up. Gary. Gary, half of those 2,000-something hours yours? He puts it's like, this is a full-time job that Gary offers us. Amazing possibility. All of you who watch our broadcasts, bow down to Gary. It would not happen without him.
We do.
And his team.
Gary and his team.
Jessica, Carolyn, Paolo has helped a lot. Sometimes Janet, sometimes Claire. We always need people on the video team, by the way, if that's something you're interested in. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, I'm just taking a commercial break here because y'all led into it. Just to throw something out for people to be thinking about on the curriculum project that was just mentioned, it is a really big undertaking. We have about 800 digital files we're going through. And one of our big problems is trying to figure out where people can go in, identify what they need, pull it out, pay for it, whatever, but also where the teachers can go in and look and tell the students what they need from these files. So it requires a data management system. And we're going to need about 10 volunteers at some point here who can actually go in and listen to enough of the teachings where they can title them, describe them in such a way that we can then put it in the database. And so we're kind of working on the front end of everything, getting it all kind of sorted. But later on, maybe a couple of months.
People don't have
now,
to be local, right,
Yeah.
to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be anyone who has a internet connection. And so just a heads up that is something that's going to take a lot of effort, and we just don't want to lose the teachings. We got some incredible teachings that are recorded that we want to try to get them all organized so that we can get them to the students.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you.
Yes, and we promised you cake, and we have a drawing, and there is cake.
We could close. The book is here. We'll do our closing. Renee, would you light our candle? And we also have New Year's fortunes. We'll bring them in. You can have them with your cake. Umzela?
What?
Yeah, just the blessing.
Yes, ma'am. Except I'm not sure where it begins.
Well, thank you, everybody,
Does
for your
anybody know where it began
participation
today?
and good ideas. I don't.
Oh, there it is.
Here.
Okay.
Okay.
Here you go.
We'll read the blessing verse on the yellow sheet. With all
Of you in mind we light this lamp of clarity. May the glow of love wisdom shine within us everyone, till we all rise forth born in one enlightened mandala.
Tina and her family, Auntie Lily in the Bardo, Mark Fowler in the Bardo and family, Israel, Dorcas, and Jay in the Bardo and family, Inca in the Bardo and family, Shravana, Claire, dissertation, Rebecca, Aaron and family, Hole, Nadia and family, Assisi, Mr. Bean, Chubbs and Penny, Bardo and families, Ben, Gina, Thomas, Paulina, Adelie, Viola, Violet, Kenneth and the Bardo, Deanna, Jackson, Porter, Carson, Miriam, Yvonne, Kim's dad, Mom in the Bardo, Dad, Doug, Anna, Tessa, Bobby, all suffering children, Charlie in FA Hospital, Cheryl, Brenda, Jennifer, Olga Einhorn, Francis Watley, Mark and Elizabeth for decision, Nasem, Iqbal, Awais, Zay, Feroz, Ali, Habiba, Dave, David, Rook, Sana, Sania, Azan, Jerry, Rich, John, Andrew, Sophia, Stefan, Helen, McCorkle family, Bobby McCorkle in the Bardo, J.F. Pruitt, Bob Simon, Jack Phillips and the family, Eleanor Day, George Helen, George Hagel and Lido, Jerry, John, Tabby, Carlos, Kaidan and Avery, Maria, John, Jenny, Daryl, Art, Losar, Tashi DeLay, Diana and Joshua Cutler, Dondi Murray, Michael Cirillo, and their children, Olivia, Sophia, and Nadia, Linda Cirillo, in the Bardo, Leanne Evans.
And I didn't get to write, but Surabi in New York, Gloria in 3-year retreat, Jennifer D. as she prepares to go to India, Nancy and Anna, Pat Macon, Dorothy Matthews. Mm-hmm. And our awe to those and all beings. Ah and all our teachers, and Dawn Mountain, and all of you. And thank you so much for being here. Really appreciated your energy and your presence.
And let them eat cake. There is cake in the community room. Cake and some liquid refreshment, I heard.
We'll let you pick the winning ticket. Okay.
Oh, the winning ticket. Oh boy, winning ticket.